Hello guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Jesper, and today we are finally going to look at how you can color in your mineral sunscreen. So there is a lot of mineral sunscreens, and they usually, the main problem with them is that they basically come in colors that are for my skin type, so skin color, and that means that I can use one that is when I'm a little bit tanned, a little bit more tanned, and way more tanned, but they do not come in colors that are for darker skin tones as such, and that is obviously a problem. One of the things with a mineral sunscreen is obviously that particularly if you have a darker skin tone, then you get this sort of a white cast, and that is obviously not nice. And I would say even on my skin tone, it leaves a white cast. So if you have a darker skin tone, it must be rather a problem. So if you really would like to have something that is a mineral sunscreen that leaves this white cast, and you would like to get rid of that cast, then you need to have something that is colored in, and at the moment it seems that you cannot get some that is dark enough for darker skin tone. So what can you do yourself? Well, you can go in and you can color it yourself. And what is it that the companies are using? Well, companies like Bioderma here, and Avéne, and La Roche-Posay, what they use is oxide. They are using iron oxides, and they look like this. So you have this red one, you have a black one, and a yellow one. So they use different concentrations of these ones here, and usually if it's a very light one, they get this sort of a color that is kind of like similar to my color, but a little bit warmer or darker than my color. If you would like to have a darker one, and you don't want to go in and mix these ones, you can mix these ones to get exactly the color that suits you, but you can also get one that is already mixed. So this one here is a very brown, and that is a mix of those three ones here. So how do you add it to the mineral sunscreen? Well, I have some examples here. I have one from Cetaphil, and that is it's a daily defense moisturizer with an SPF of 50. And then we have this one here from Neutrogena. It is an SPF of 50, and it is one that contains zinc oxide. This one here contains titanium dioxide, and this one here from CeraVe, which is a SPF of 30. It contains titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. So if we take one of these ones here, we can take the one from Neutrogena. We can see how can we add the color. I will take kind of like what is a half a teaspoon. So that is what you need for your entire face, and it will be something like this. And then I have made a little thing here, and that is basically just some fabric that is very loose woven, and that means that when I have put some of the brown iron oxide in it, then I can just shake it a little bit, and some of it will come out. And you don't need a lot, and you will see how little you actually need in order to make quite an impact. So if we just shake it a little bit like that, you will see that there will be a little bit of the powder coming out. And already just that little bit will make quite a difference. So when I smear it around, you will see it like that. It becomes more and more dark. So now you need to overcome the whiteness. So obviously you need to add a little bit more, but before you add too much, then this sort of whiteness does come down a little bit. So as when you put a sunscreen on like this one, then to begin with it is very white, but after a little while it does become a little bit more opaque. So before you add too much pigment to it, then just get a feeling of how much you should use, because you try and see after a little while how the whiteness disappears a little bit. So now I just added a little bit more. So here you have it kind of like it still have an overwhelmingly white sheen to it. So you can add a little bit more. But again, this is very, very little at a time. So then you can see it becomes much more darker than compared to the outside around it. And if we try it on the skin, then you can see what sort of impact it gives. So now you have this kind of a brown undertone, but the overtone, if you like, of it, I would say is still a little bit whitish to the maybe bluish side. But I would let it sit for a little while or smear it out a little bit more because the whiteness tends to disappear a little bit after a while. So if we just let it sit like that and see what happens if it becomes the whiteness starts to disappear a little bit. Now what we are talking about here is basically, this is not to make a foundation. This is just to try and overcome the whiteness from a mineral sunscreen. So if you have another product which is already a tinted version, then it will be easier to go in and overcome the whiteness of it, because they have already adjusted so that the whiteness is no longer there. So if you have a product like this one here from Bioderma, then this is the lightest version they have of this nude touch one. And if I would like to have a little bit more of a tone to it, it is much easier to deal with, because I need rather much less, because the whiteness is already gone. So I just drizzle a little bit in like that, and then you can see how much it changes just with that little bit of a drizzle. So if you see this product and you like this product, then there is a way to make it darker. So one that is already tinted a little bit is much easier to change the color of than to try and change the color of a product that is completely white. But it is possible to do. You just need to find out how much you need. So if we just put it on this side here, you'll see I just added a little bit. So I didn't add as much as I added to the one here. So this is kind of like you get an idea about what sort of change you can make to the product. Because if you just take the product on its own without doing anything, and we just try it next to it, take a clean finger, and then you can just see next to it that it has much more, I would say it's a bit to the yellow side. But obviously you can see there is quite a difference. With that little bit I just drizzled in this sample here. So does it work in a sunscreen that is not a mineral sunscreen? Can I use it in a chemical sunscreen instead? Well, these oxides here, they are non-reactive, so they are just there as a color. They don't react with anything. So if we take one like the sun care one for kids from Riemann P20, you will see that because obviously, well, it's a white cream, yes, but it doesn't have a tint. It doesn't come up as white when you have smeared it on your face, because there is no minerals in it, so there's no zinc oxide or titanium dioxide in it. So we just drizzle a little bit of this here, and then there is no whiteness to overcome, so a little bit goes an even longer way. So now you will see it becomes very, very brown. So if you would like to have a mineral sunscreen that is a bit more tinted, you can use this. But also, even that you have a chemical one which does not leave a white cast, you can easily give it a bit of a tint if you want to. And that is just for that little bit, it's much stronger in the color. So if you try it next to here, we just maybe put it there, then you can see that it is much more of the brown color that you are seeing in the product here, just as a wet version. So something that is wet is already more saturated in the color. So that makes obviously much a stronger impact. So if we just do a little bit more working with this stuff here, then you will see that now gradually the sort of whitish stuff of it starts to disappear. So it is just a question of how much you should add, but certainly it is possible to make your own tinted sunscreen, if it is a chemical one or if it's a mineral one. And these products here are exactly the same as they are using for Avéne and La Roche-Posay and Bioderma and so on. And that is because they do not react with the sunscreen. And obviously you should not add a lot, but that is not what we are talking about. We are talking about a little bit of a drizzle, and that makes quite a difference. So hopefully these products here will be something that can help you if you like to have a mineral sunscreen, but you don't like the white cast, and who really does like the white cast. These ones here, I will give you a link below where you can find them, and they don't cost a lot, and that will be for you saw how little you need. So here they will be for quite, I guess, many years. So yes, if you like more of this sort of videos, please subscribe, hit the bell, and do all those things you must do in order to be notified when I upload more of this sort of videos. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.